All right, welcome back, everybody. We're going to talk about managing multiple move-outs. The reason we're going to do that is because I happen to have 9 of them going on right now. I've actually, technically, 2 of those are closed out and invoiced, but over the last 2 weeks, my business has received 9 total move-outs, which is quite a few. And for those of you who don't know, real quick, a move-out is just a vacant property where the tenant who was renting has left the property, and now we need to get it turned around and ready for a new tenant. That's what I mean when I say a move-out. Sometimes I also mean a new onboarding property, so a place that doesn't have a tenant in it at the moment and didn't have one before because the owner was living in it, and now they're turning it into a rental. So it's going to be a new onboarding property to this property management company that they're trying to get ready to rent out. But either way, these are going to be vacant properties that you're getting ready to rent out. You might also hear them called make-readies, and you might also hear them called turnovers. And by the way, these are usually split into 2 separate work orders. One is going to be owner responsibilities, and one is going to be tenant responsibilities. There are things that the tenant breaks or damages or gets dirty while they're living there that they're responsible for paying for. But there are other things that are considered normal wear and tear over time that the owner's going to pay for. So typically, you're going to have one big list, and that list is going to get broken into tenant responsibilities and owner responsibilities. And what's really important for you to know is that here in Arizona, and most states have similar laws, but here in Arizona, the property manager has 14 days to reconcile the tenant's deposit. So within 14 days of that tenant moving out, I need to have provided the property manager, or you need to have provided the property manager with either an actual invoice for the work performed, or at the very least, a firm estimate that is not going to deviate at all for them to use for invoicing or reconciling the tenant's deposit. So we have a very tight turnaround on these. They're very time sensitive, and the property managers need us to be able to get in there, get it done, and get out. Number one, so that they can actually reconcile that deposit. And number two, so that they can get this property rented out again, because every week that goes by that it's not rented out is a week that's costing the homeowner money that they're not getting any reimbursement for. Now, if you want to learn more about property management or about move-outs, I do highly recommend you watch some more videos on my channel. My handyman business works exclusively with property managers, and move-outs are probably half of the revenue for this company, so there's a lot of information here. I would also direct you to my masterclass, which, by the way, is free. There are no paywalls on this channel, but I do have a free masterclass, which is going to take you step by step by step through the process of starting and running your handyman business. I promise it is easy to start a business. You've been told it's hard. It is not. There are just a finite number of steps you have to follow, and my masterclass will take you through those steps and teach you how to start and run a business exactly like the handyman business that I'm running. You can find that masterclass in 2 places. One is going to be on the Thinkific website. There's a link in the description of this video and of all my videos. Or you can go directly to bulletproofhandyman.com, where you'll find the exact same videos, just without the masterclass format, but they are in the correct order. And if you just simply watch the first video, do what it says, watch the second video, do what it says, watch the third video, do what it says, and keep doing this until you finish the videos, you will find yourself at the end the owner of a handyman business with clients, making good money, supporting your family. So let's talk a lot about the challenges that are going to come along with having a whole lot of move-outs come in at the exact same time. Some of the challenges are that your other jobs still need you, and that's the most important thing. Your property managers need you fixing toilets and sinks and all of the things that go wrong with these houses on a daily basis. They need you out there every day getting these things resolved. So when big jobs like move-outs come along, they do kind of put a kink in your ability to go out and handle all of these smaller projects on a day-by-day basis. Another issue is that since we have only 14 days to knock these out, and some of these are multi-day move-outs, we don't really have enough time to do 9 move-outs in 14 days, especially, like I said, while taking care of those smaller projects. You're also going to find that a lot of your jobs need parts ordered, and those parts are going to have long lead times, anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. So you're going to need to be able to reconcile that with the tenant's deposit, with parts ordered, and with a firm estimate for the work that you're going to be doing when those parts come in. You need to be able to give all of this in advance within that 14-day time period. And a lot of these move-outs, honestly, by the time you're done inspecting and really looking everything over and getting most of the work done, there's likely going to be quite a few very large jobs left to do that are going to require larger estimates that you're going to need to send off to get approved. And by the way, if you need help doing estimates, I do webinars. I do 1 webinar per week, usually on a Saturday, sometimes on a Sunday, but I do webinars once per week, again, free. No paywalls on this channel, but you can come to my webinars and I will teach you using Jobber software, which is the software I use, how to create a job, how to write an estimate and get an estimate sent out, how to write your invoices, and how to do a lot of other admin work that's involved in the day-to-day workflow of running a handyman business similar to the one that I run. So if you want to get signed up for any of those webinars, there's links in the description for that. I've got them laid out all the way through the end of November. You can sign up for whichever ones you have the time for. And if you want a free trial of Jobber, which is the software I use and the software I'll be using in the webinars, if you want a free 14-day trial of Jobber, there's also a link for that in the description. And if you use my link, you'll also get a 20% off discount. And by the way, if you've looked at Jobber recently and you thought it was way too expensive, I will suggest you look again. They have slashed their prices by about 40% recently. So if you thought it was too expensive a month or two ago, go look at that again. I think you're going to find their prices are about half of what they were last time you looked at. Now, keep in mind, one of the challenges that you're also going to run into when you have all of these come in at the same time is you've got to get them all wrapped up in this short time period, and your numbers have to be precise. Your property managers are going to use your numbers to close out that tenant's deposit, and they're going to be relying on you to have your numbers correct. If you come back later and say, I need an extra $300, they're not going to have that extra $300 because they already gave it back to the tenant. So now they're going to have to go explain to the homeowner that they messed up on getting the correct pricing down, and the homeowner's going to have to pay that $300 out of pocket for you to fix that work. Or better yet, you honor your estimate. But the point is that you're not only going to need to get a lot of these done and a lot of these done quickly, but you're going to need to get them done very precisely, or it's going to cost people unexpectedly hundreds and hundreds of dollars later on. And keep in mind, you're going to need to be able to do this while working around the schedules of other vendors. If you don't know what a vendor is, comment or email me anytime if you have any questions. But a vendor is what you are. A handyman is a vendor to a property manager. A house cleaner is a vendor. A landscaper is a vendor. Anybody who sells services to the property manager is going to be referred to as a vendor by the property manager. If y'all hear me using any terminology you're not familiar with, like I said, ask me in the comments, email me at bulletproofhandymanbusiness@gmail.com. I try to get back with every single comment and every single email, but don't be afraid to just ask these questions. Or like I said, come to the webinars. Come to the webinars for a place where you can really interact with me one-on-one without a lot of distraction to ask a lot of these precise questions. And by the way, a lot of these units are also going to need little mini remodels, just so you know. So that's going to get tacked on top of all of the work you're already going to be doing. A handful of these units, when you get a bunch at once, are going to basically need little mini remodels because they've just been occupied for too long, and they're going to need some big upgrades going on. And then as far as priorities, you're going to have to talk to your property managers and always know which of these properties they're planning, for example, on doing mini remodels on that are going to take a while, and which ones they want to get back on the market quickly. Oftentimes, they have a new tenant lined up before the old tenant has even moved out, because the tenants will go and tell their friends, their cousins, their family members that they're moving out and their place is going to be available. So those property managers will oftentimes have tenants ready to move in before the old tenant has moved out. So they're going to be in a hurry on those. So know which ones need to be done more quickly and which ones can take longer so you can prioritize these correctly. And then finally, one of the biggest challenges you're going to find is that when you have a lot of move outs for a property manager, you're paying for materials out of your pocket. So when you have all of them come at once, you now have maybe $500, maybe $1,000 worth of materials times 9 move outs. That could be $9,000 worth of materials you need. So you're also going to want to work really closely with the property manager in terms of getting deposits made and figuring out what the priorities of these jobs are going to be so that you have the money to put into these jobs to eventually get paid back. So now I'm going to tell you what my method has been and is currently when I'm needing to manage lots and lots of move outs or just lots and lots of larger jobs at the same time. And a larger job for me, like I said before, my company focuses, and handyman companies for property managers in general, your focus is really getting all of these tiny little one-off jobs knocked out routinely, consistently, and quickly over a long period of time. That's really our bread and butter, and that's the purpose we serve. The move outs are kind of like icing on the cake. So I'm going to tell you what I figured out and what I do and how I handle these larger jobs that are 1 or 2 or 3 days instead of just, the little teeny tiny one-off hour-long jobs. let's go over what I do to manage these jobs. And then at the end here, after I tell you how I manage these jobs, I'm also just going to have a nice little list of tips for you that are going to help you be as efficient as possible and pull this off as flawlessly as possible. So the first thing you're going to do before anything else, whether this is all from one property manager or from multiple different property managers, is you want to verify the pre-approval status of these jobs. And what I mean by that is generally for a tenant move out, there's not going to be any sort of set budget that you can't exceed, unless that budget is simply whatever the tenant paid for their deposit. So for me, typically when I receive a tenant move out, I am pre-approved to literally do whatever I need to do to fix all of the problems that the property manager pointed out. And then it's going to be the property manager and or the homeowner's job to go after the tenant for that money if there's not enough money. But they generally want me to go in without a budget, just being fair with my pricing, and get all of the work done that needs to get done, because that work has to get done, or at least firmly estimated within that 14 days in order to get that money from the tenant if they're ever going to get it. So verify your pre-approval status and make sure that you just know for sure right off the bat what you are and are not approved to do before you jump into any of this. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to visit every single one of these properties personally, and in order of priority, from the highest priority, meaning the one that needs to get finished first or estimated first, to the lowest priority, meaning the ones that can get done later on. I'm going to visit every single one of these properties personally, and when I go to these properties, I'm going to do a few things. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to knock out as much work as I can. I'm going to go through this property and everything that I have the tools and the inventory for on hand already. I'm just going to knock as much out as I can while I'm there on the property. I'm also going to inspect, and I'm going to find a lot of things that the property managers didn't find. And when I do this inspection, I'm going to document this with my jobber software. I'm going to be documenting it in the form of a quote. And when I send this quote, it's going to be line item approve or deny. So I can add all of my line items on top of the line items that the property manager found. But I'm going to inspect the whole property. I'm going to fix everything I've already been requested to fix that I can fix quickly within that one day. And then I'm going to be putting together a very large estimate for everything that's left on that list, like I said, including the stuff that I've added to it. So when I'm all said and done with this property, typically after just the one day, I'm going to be sending that estimate, and I'm also going to be sending an invoice. So I'll invoice all the work I completed. I'll send an estimate for the work that I didn't complete that was already requested, and that estimate is going to have line item approve or deny added to it of all of the other work that I found while I was on site. So two things that are going to be really important about this estimate that I send is, number one, it's going to be a firm estimate, meaning I will not come back and change my pricing later. Now, I may come back and discount my pricing. No tenant has ever been offended that they got a little bit of extra money back later on, right? But you can't go and ask them for more money after it's all been closed out. So the first and most important thing is these estimates have to be firm estimates. And the second thing is going to be that you ask for deposits if necessary. You're going to be going through a lot of materials if you're doing a lot of move-outs at the same time, and you're going to find it useful, even if you do have the money to cover the materials, you're going to find it useful to be getting some deposits for these jobs, because you never know where things are going to go, and you want to make sure you've always got enough money in the bank to cover all the materials for all of your jobs. There's nothing wrong with asking for deposits on larger estimates. So go ahead and, like I said, number one, make sure these are firm estimates. And number two, ask for a deposit, especially if it's materials heavy. Now, if you remember earlier, I told you to ask what the priorities were for these jobs, which ones they're trying to rent out the fastest. Because within that 14-day period, once you have gotten the work done, sent the invoicing, sent the estimates, and everything is at least firm so that they can close out those deposits. Once you've done all that, now you're going to have this big list of work for mostly all the same properties that you're going to be going back and doing, and you're going to schedule them to do. And I told you to ask earlier which ones were the highest priority, which ones are trying to get tenants moved into the quickest. Now you're going to be at the point where you get to go actually do the work, and you want to prioritize doing that work. Number one, around what the other vendors are doing, of course, but number two, based on the priority of getting new tenants in as quickly as possible to the properties that they're wanting to get the tenants into first. All right, so I told you I was just going to give you a bunch of tips as well, so let's go ahead and dive into the tips. And the first tip is going to be Farm out everything you can. When you get inundated with move outs like this, you should have some painters you can rely on. You should be able to have some landscapers you can rely on, at least some unskilled laborers that you can rely on, maybe a cleaner you can rely on. You should have at least a few people that you're meeting over time while you're running your business that you can farm work out to. So, whatever you can farm out. When you're inundated like this, just err on the side of, by default, just go ahead and farm that work out. Another tip is going to be, when you're writing these estimates, go ahead and overestimate. Overestimate everything, and then go back after the fact. And if you can issue a few refunds because you overestimated, go ahead and err on the side of overestimate and then issue refunds later, rather than underestimating and having to eat that cost yourself later. Another tip, I just really want to drive this one home, I've kind of already mentioned it a couple times, is you want to know what the pre-approval status is of all of these jobs. Know whether or not your property manager has approved every single one of these estimates that you've sent them. Don't just assume that because you're their main guy and because you sent the estimate and it's a firm estimate, that you're just automatically good to go. Ask for approvals on all of these estimates. A big tip, actually, that I almost forgot to tell you all about is, when you're doing your estimating and your invoicing, you can use my line items for your pricing. If you go to the description of this video or any of my videos and scroll all the way to the bottom of that description, you're going to find a link you can click to get my free business documents. There's a lot of documents in there that are going to be useful to you, but one of the biggest ones is actually going to be my custom line items. So within Jobber, I have built line items for my most common jobs, and I've attached generic descriptions and generic pricing, so that when it's time to do all of these invoices and all of these estimates, instead of hand typing every single thing out, I can just type in the word bulb, and then it's going to autofill, and I'm going to be able to just click on the correct bulb line item for labor or for materials. I can just click on that line item, add a quantity, and then go to the next one, type in, say, stopper for sink stopper, or just type in the word sink, or type in the word fire for fire detector. It doesn't matter what it is. I've got all these custom line items where I can just go in there and start typing. It's going to autofill with the drop down. I'm going to click on it, add the quantity, and move on. You can download my custom line items from my Jobber account. You can download mine and upload them into your Jobber account and be using my line items with my pricing. Now, I do suggest that you don't use my line items with my pricing unchanged. I do suggest that you edit them to match your geographic location, your way of doing business, and your pricing. But just so you know, that is available to you. You can download my line items, you can upload my line items into your Jobber account, and you will have my line items to just click and quantity, click and quantity, click and quantity. It's going to save you hours and hours of invoicing and estimating. And if you need to know how to get those uploaded into your account, like I said, you can come to one of two places. Come to my webinars, which you can get yourself scheduled on in the description of the video. There's links for each of them. Or you can come to my live streams and just ask me during a live stream, and I can bring my screen up during a live stream and show you how to do that. And by the way, subscribe and click the bell so that you do get alerted when I do live streams. I don't have them on a regular set schedule, but I try to do them as often as I can, often multiple times per week. I usually try to just post it about 15 to 30 minutes before I'm going to start. So if you've got the alarm bell clicked, you'll get a notification before I start my live stream, and you can come join it. Also, I do a lot of live streams on the job at move out. So if you want to see me doing some move outs, half of my live streams are done on the job at a move out. So again, subscribe, click the notification bell, and you'll be able to come and see me, whether here at the house or on a move out. You can see me live, and we can go over a lot of these things if you have more questions. So another tip that hopefully you don't need too badly, but unfortunately with some of my clients I do, is to have the property manager verify that the funds to pay you for these move outs are available to pay you upon completion. A lot of these property management companies, when they get a deposit from a new tenant, instead of putting that in the bank and holding it for the move out, they just give it to the homeowner, and the homeowner spends it. And then when that property becomes vacant and they have you go do a move out, what they're doing is having you do a move out with no funds available to pay you. And they're expecting that when the new tenant pays their deposit to move in, then you'll get paid for the work you did out of that new deposit. Oftentimes it takes them a long time to get new tenants in, or the deposit isn't enough, and then you end up waiting 1 or 2 or 3 months to get your payment for the move out you did. Now, by the way, I don't mind that. Sometimes I get paid 90 days out for these move outs, even though I'm a net 30 company and my property managers are net 30s. However, I charge a premium for move outs and I really enjoy doing move outs. So, me being patient and waiting for that money, even though it takes way longer than it should, encourages them to send move outs to me because they know that if they send it to another handyman and don't have the money to pay that handyman in 30 days, he's likely to be very angry and to throw a huge fit and to make everybody's life suck, as opposed to sending it to me if the money's not available in 30 days. Even if the money's not available in 60 days, I'm not going to throw a fit. I'm just going to wait patiently for my money and I will eventually get paid. And what that means is that I have times like right now where I've got 9 move outs because everybody sends me all of the move outs because I do a kick-ass job of really making sure I take care of my clients. So for efficiency purposes, I'm also going to suggest that while you're trying to knock out these move outs and all of your small jobs, I'm going to suggest trying to put your small jobs in the morning before the move out, because you can just go and get them done and you can know that you can get 2 or 3 of them done by, let's say, 10 or 11 o'clock. And then you can head to that move out and still have up to, let's call it 6 hours to work on the move out, which is usually enough to knock out most of the piddly work on most move outs, and also to get your paint samples, to get your blinds measurements, to get all your stuff written down, all your pictures taken, and all your inspections done. I'm also going to suggest when you get a lot of these move outs that you pay really close attention to your inventory and you start bulking up on that inventory. You don't want to be going to Home Depot over and over again every day. If you're going to do a lot of move outs, you're going to need a lot of door stoppers. So just go ahead and stock up on door stoppers at the very beginning so that you just kind of have all of them that you're going to need. Know the things that you're going to need most routinely and just get stocked up on them, especially when you're doing a lot of move outs. And finally, put together your kits and use your kits. These are going to come in super handy when you can just grab those kits, walk into the house, go straight to the job, get the job done, and start getting your processes down. And that's another thing these move outs are great for, is they're going to be a lot of practice for you on simple jobs at getting a process down and doing them quickly and refining your kits so that, again, you can just grab the kit from the van, go inside with the kit, go straight to the job, open up the kit, do the job, put the kit back together, put it back in the van, go to the next job. Move outs are a really great time to time yourself and to refine your processes and to refine your kits. Now, I just want to remind you all one more time, I do these free webinars every single weekend. If you want to come to the webinars, there are links in the description. If you want to get Jobber before you come to the webinar so you can try it out on your free trial and get some experience with it, there's a link for that in the description. You can download my custom line items that you can upload into your Jobber account. The link for that is at the bottom of the description of every single video on this channel. And I have a masterclass that you can take either on the Thinkific website or at bulletproofhandyman.com. Free masterclass, free webinars, free everything. There are no paywalls on this channel. I want you guys to succeed. And one last thing, I do want to remind you guys, if you don't know already, that we do a lot of campouts on this channel. I love camping with my subscribers and with my audience. The next one's going to be in November, but we have plenty of them. So go to the description of this video or any of my videos and look for the links to get signed up for the campouts. Some of them are sponsored where I'm going to host you and I'm going to provide all the gear, all the food, everything you need so you can just show up and relax. And some of them are going to be non-sponsored where I'm still going to be able to let you borrow gear and I'm still going to be able to help you out with food and stuff, but it's not necessarily going to be completely provided for beginning to end. So if you want to come camping with me, the next one is November 8th and 9th. There will be more after that in the future. And with all that being said, I love you guys. I hope you're out there killing it, and I'll see you on the next one.